Gabi and Charlie, and it's time to choose their invitations. Our home and family wedding planner, Kristin Banta, is joining us today to help answer all of the couple's questions about choosing the right invitation for their special day. So, welcome back. It's so nice to have you back here. I'm so glad that we're going to be working together to put this whole beautiful wedding together for us.
I'm excited. Couple. Thanks for having me back.
Aww. Sure. All right, so let's jump in here, couples. Gabi, what is your invitation as you look over these things? What appealed to you?
I like the extra add-ons, so I like the lace on this one. That's the one that I would have gone more.
So like this part down here?
Yeah, that part.
Okay.
And Charlie, what attracted you?
I like this one right here. The post-wedding hangover brunch.
That was the part that got you. I know.
I just thought it was really cool. It looked like kind of like a newspaper article or something.
Is this an invitation here, or is it just the invitation to the brunch?
Right. Well, with each of these, we're looking at what we call the whole wedding collateral. So we're looking at all the different pieces. We're looking at the website piece, we're looking at the invite, the response card, and then we've got the little invite insert for the hangover brunch in this case.
You know, it's very interesting, though, because the difference between men and women, you know, Gabi went for the beautiful lace and the little bit of bling over here, and Charlie's basic black and white, you know, very bold. So how do you, when you have two different ideas and two different tastes, how do you bring the whole thing together that will please both of them?
Yeah, well, when we started looking at the invitations, I had them look at a number of different things and pull out the things where they responded to one element or more with each of these invitations that you're seeing here. So, for instance, Gabi loved the lace, and, you know, Charlie loved the wording and kind of the cheekiness that's happening over here with the black and white one. And then they like the embellishments. So they both seem to be on the same page with, for instance, we've got this little leaf here, and they both like that added little special texture something. And they both really responded to what we have here is a font choice that they both seem to enjoy. So we kind of try to marry those things and come up with something that makes sense.
Have we come up with something yet?
I think we're on our way.
Oh, okay.
So is it common that the guys and the girls kind of go in separate corners when they start picking things out for the wedding?
Sometimes. Obviously, some couples are vastly different, and others seem to be more on the same page with liking the same things. But I think there's a way to take the taste of both the bride and the groom and combine them into something that makes sense and represents both of them.
Were you guys surprised that your taste was so different when it came to these two invitations?
Yeah, no.
No? Not at all, huh?
No. I expected it.
Yeah. So how do you plan on problem solving here between you two?
Well, I'm happy I kind of have a little say-so, but whatever makes her happy, I'm happy, you know?
Oh, see.
So,
you were right.
Well, didn't I tell you this morning? We were arguing at the meeting. I say, you know, it's really the bride's day, and I said, I know Charlie would probably just say to her, you know what, honey, whatever makes you happy, because you seem like that kind of guy.
See, I haven't learned that lesson yet. I still fight.
He's so sweet.
He's like, just give in.
Me and you can sit on the couch. They can do this.
They can do this, right? And we'll have
go play basketball.
Yeah, right.
Well, you know, etiquette is really important. What is
Couch?
Couch?
Oh, etiquette. Oh, your first clue word. Yeah, that's etiquette music.
Well, etiquette is also important in an element when it comes to invitation, but are there any common mistakes that you can make when you're picking out a invitation? Or
Sure. Etiquette is there really to make guests comfortable. That's why it's there. For the most part, I think that we can break rules and make it our own, but the reason why we have etiquette in place is so that we don't make anyone uncomfortable. For instance, if you don't necessarily want children at your wedding, you can't put it on the invite. You need to kind of pass that via word of mouth, or maybe put it on your website. And that's a common thing that a lot of people do. Or for instance, the registry, not for the invite.
you can't put no children on the invite, because what if someone, you know, you missed somebody on the invitation and they do bring their children? So why can't you put it on the invitation?
Well, because as the recipient, you might feel uncomfortable if you see this and you think, wow, well, I was kind of thinking about bringing my kid and now I feel like I've kind of been shut down.
Yeah. Right.
So we don't want anyone to feel shut down. We just want to pass it via word of mouth and maybe find a different way of communicating that.
When we send these out to the number, how do we know what to order? I mean, obviously, if you have 500 people coming, you get 500 invites.
That is a really common mistake that a lot of people make. Instead of thinking about it per person, we need to think about it per household or per couple.
Oh,
and if they are 18 years old, they should, even if they're living in the same house as their parents, they should actually get their own invitation.
Right.
Do we want
That's etiquette, right?
Exactly.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
Do we want to get more? Do you always just get the hard number that you're looking for? Say, you know, if you've got 500 people coming, you figure 250 or whatever. Do you,
Sure.
Do you pad that?
It's always great to have a little bit of extra. You may forget somebody that you didn't originally have on the list. You may make a new friend.
Yeah.
Right. In the few weeks we have left, you may make a couple of new friends that we have to invite to the wedding.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm invited, right?
Of course.
Right. Okay. Just you see, he's like, yeah, of course you're coming, right?
You told me that he wasn't invited. That's not what you said.
Gabby said that, not me.
So when you get into picking these things, you start looking at the big picture and you go, okay, we got this and the hall and the reception and this is going to cost. If you choose to cut a budget, is there an option here? Is this one of those things that you want? Is there a way to sort of cut corners with the invitations?
Absolutely. There's always a do-it-yourself takeaway where you can save money. You know, we looked at this one. This was one of the earlier ones that they enjoyed. And with this, so many of these are letterpress, which is where it's pressed into the page. This is actually a gorgeous invite that's flat printing. So technically, if you needed to do this yourself, you could find a font that you really liked, and you could run this through your LaserJet at home. For instance, we have another example where we took a big stamp and picked something that was relevant for this particular piece, and actually just did a rubber stamp to get something interesting on it.
Very pretty, too.
And ran this through the computer. I just did this as a mock-up today, so we could have an example of something that's really easy to do and doesn't cost you much at all.
Yeah.
Well, like if you send out invitations like that for 250 people versus that, what are the difference in the prices?
The price point must be dramatic.
Well, certainly. A letterpress is obviously going to cost you a little bit more. It's a very specific means of printing. Whereas if you're doing a flat print, that's something that you could do at home, or you could do it with your printer and spend a little less.
But this is the first thing they see of your wedding, is that invitation. The first thing
That's a great
which
point.
sets the
Sends a
tone.
message.
So if you're having that kind of grand affair, it's important to get a good invitation.
That's exactly right. You want to get people excited. So if you have some amazing invitation that you get, you're going to make sure as the recipient that you're going to carve out the time to be at that wedding.
And you get good prezzies.
That's right.
Yes.
Get good prezzies.
shallow.
Is that what you said? Prezzies?
Prezzies, yes.
Yes. Is it sinking in, guys? Is it,
is.
every day?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you get nervous?
Closer and closer.
So, but we haven't come to any conclusions yet. We're going to share with our audience later what you chose.
Well,
or
I
you
think
chose
we
the
know a
same?
little bit about what
Okay.
we're going to try for. I think we're going to come up with something that has this font that they love, that maybe has a little bit of an embellishment that they both like, and maybe has a little bit of a cheeky language thing happening, something that's a little whimsical and fun for my man Charlie here.
All right.
You're
Look,
getting
he's
your way, huh?
smiling. Look at him.
He's getting there a little bit. All right, fantastic. All right, so yeah, it's so nice to see this all kind of come together and unfold for you guys.
There's one check mark off.
Hey, Ryan. Yeah, one. There's many more checks coming
yes.
up. All right, speaking of coming up, not only the wedding, but we have another guest for you coming up next. Is parody singer Nikki Boyer. She's going to give us a version of Katy Perry's song "Wide Awake."
It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
I love Nikki. She's so great. Don't go away.